is that I think that anybody who's into awakenness or consciousness or the road less traveled, or whatever you want to call it, or enlightenment, awareness, questioning the status quo, questioning reality, I think for anybody who's doing it is like a PhD in the highest of orders and degrees. It's just, it puts other people in the shade, because this takes so much courage, this takes so much sacrifice, this takes so much commitment, right? That I just think for myself, I'd rather speak to a conscious individual or whatever, let's say, or a mystic, a seeker, than I would like your general scientist. I have no interest in somebody who's like a mathematician, maybe. That would be way above my pay grade. I wouldn't even understand what they're saying. But even from beyond that, because the truth and the beauty and the essence of the genuine, because I think somebody who's conscious is being genuine, on the road to truth, on the road to divinity, whatever it is something so beautiful to see. It's just to be a part of, to experience, to be in a relationship with. It's so true, it's so long lasting, it's so rich, and with the richness of it, and the gold of it, the nectar of it is just so wonderful. And so for myself, it's like, well, even if the guy, the woman maybe isn't the best speaker or slow talker, or I don't know, whatever it might be, it's if they're genuine in themselves and they're making this effort, that for me is the most talented, like I said, the most talented and skilled people that I would wish to spend time with and get to know. It's not how well read you are, or like, do you know the components of what makes up DMT and ayahuasca and all the chemical, the whatever it is. Like, no, not
how many decimal points can you recite pi to? And
exactly, or something, or like your general knowledge of things, and what year this thing was discovered, and how this happened, and those finer details. It's like, if you can't even do it, doesn't, so what? Because I feel that the individual on their own is just something so profoundly beautiful and transcendental, because again, we just remind each other that there's so much more to this existence than what meets the eye. Like when I get so tired, I suppose, or just exhausted, and sometimes, and often rather, there wouldn't be despair, but when I look at people that are so well plugged into the matrix, whether it be family members, old friends, whoever it is, they're so convinced by this illusion that they are their status, right? That their priorities in life are to get rich or die trying, or to be as popular as their next door neighbor or something like that, or material, and their beliefs in the religions that they've been given. I see their whole lives orientated, their every breath, their sweat from their brow, to be, dedicated to something that's inauthentic. And while the greatest parts of them just waste away. And so I see them literally, like, in the matrix with the cable, plugged into the back of their head, just living in this false reality, in this dimension. So when I'm surrounded by it, I feel that this is all the be all and end all that there is. It's very despairing. It's like, for heaven's sake, like, this is not divine, this is not transcendental, this is not transformational, this is just what it is. Pay the bills, raise your kids, eat your food, do your things. You're a machine, Neo. That's it, you're a machine. Like he says in the Matrix. And that's the idea, is that this is a machine world. We only see the surface of things. We're not in touch with nature. There's no mystery. Science has gotten rid of all of that. Religion has tapped into all the spiritual needs, whatever it is. There's no real depth psychology. The true masters of the mystics have never really been, never make their way to the forefront of the classroom or to the textbooks or something like that. So it's all humdrum, and it's all can be so bleak and dull and boring. And so when I meet somebody else who I can connect with and shines a light into this darkness, who is escaping the matrix, into this. Just think of that picture. I don't know who it's by. It's just failed to. There's a picture of a man, or it's a painting where he's lifting up sort of I don't know what it is, the carpet or something, the curtain, from the material world into the mystical world.
Yes.
I don't know what to say. And so anybody who's doing that for me and reminds me of what I'm doing here, whether their speech is slow, they stutter, whether they're not well versed in whatever it is, as long as that's what they're representing for me. Again, I just think it's the most amazing. Again, and it beats having to speak to anybody that's a scientist, a doctor, a physician of sorts. I mean, yes, from time to time these other people are interesting, but I'd rather have a chat, a cup of coffee with a conscious person or someone who's tapped into this, this energy or this realm than others.
Definitely. I agree with you. Scientists can describe they may be able to describe how things occur, or they could describe the molecules that comprise a chemical substance, or they can say the exact, whether with carbon dating can say how old the universe is, or whatever value, but they can't say why. No one can say, and that's where I think the mystical side of things, it's almost like, I don't know, I'm not trying to put words in your mouth, but it seems like the sort of ideas that we're both interested in talking about is the why of things, not necessarily the how, but trying to contemplate the why. I don't know, would you agree with that or not?
That's absolutely it. It's like the world was designed to be mysterious, and to not have conclusions. And there has to be a why on everything. I'm going to upload a talk by Michael Tessorian. It's only a few minutes, but he says that if you haven't noticed that the more that you know, the more of the unknown, you realize how much you don't know.
Yes.
At the same time. Now again, it's not that you're dumb in what you're doing, but it is so mysterious. It is so far out. It is so psychedelic. It's the only word I can use. That you can't. It's incomprehensible. It's designed to be a mystery. We don't know how we evolved. We don't know how this world started. We just don't know. I mean, we're assuming these things. Either it's the Big Bang, which is whatever it is, or there was a God who created it in 7 days, or something or other. But we don't know, and we don't even know what consciousness is a lot of the time. I mean, we don't even know what that is. And I mean, that's our bread and butter.
You don't even know where to start to begin.
We don't exactly. It's so mysterious, and so I mean, that's the idea, is that it's supposed to be mysterious, and the questions of why, and that's what I love about consciousness, let's say, for lack of a better word, or it's because for myself the research just unfolds and gets deeper and grander and bigger and wider and more, thrilling, and it's riveting, and there's a cost involved, right? I mean, there's sacrifices. It's the real deal, It's not like, you ever sort of matriculate, as they call, qualify. You're never qualifying in a sense. I mean, you're forever expanding and growing. There's just more to know, and when you think that you've understood a concept, there's just more to it. It delves further and further. And so, for myself, I just think of people that, are just maybe fixated in one area in life. I mean, or like a businessman or a lawyer. I mean, sure, you can know all the law in the world and read up about it, but it's so limiting in a sense. Fine, you can be passionate about it. Even religion, I find it to be so dull and boring and so limited. Like, what is out there and what's available, and even just being in nature and the mystery of the self is so profound, right, that it doesn't cut the mustard. It doesn't suffice at all. And so people that are like, having to pray 3 times a day and keep all the laws and whatever it is, and they're forcing themselves to it, and I see it because that's where I came from, and I was doing it too. I thought, oh, if I just pray hard enough, then I'll feel okay with myself. I'll feel God's love. I'll feel the meaning and existence and whatever, And I tried to, and I spoke to the rabbis, and I went on the internet to even look at other rabbis and back other texts and whatever, and I was just like, no, it's not. It's too small. It's not big enough. It's not earth-shattering enough. It's not. I mean, even when I went into certain, Eastern teachings and things like that. I mean, it was non-dualism, which is there's sense to it, whatever, to certain types of it. But I just felt this is not it. This is dead-ended. This is so limitless. This is like so lazy. There's nothing that there's a cost here. There needs to be a sacrifice here. And so that's why I love this. I mean, thank heavens for this. This is why for myself I was suicidal, because there was nothing else. There was no other game in town. There was nothing else happening. It was just sunrise, sunset, sunrise, sunset. I'm saying, and just nothing to it. And that's why also, to a certain degree, I'm not into conspiracy theories. I like the idea that it shows you that the world is not what it appears to be, just like, magic tricks. Magic, when you see magic, I'm talking like even a sleight of hand, you're like, wow. Because for 1 minute you believe that something vanished. And that's the greatest magician, who can convince somebody that the world is not what it appears to be, how you've accepted it as your reality. Like he says in the Truman Show. He says, why does Truman not try and escape? He says, because we accept the world in which we've been presented with as factual, as real. So the magician, or as he's talking about even Jed here, he's saying that it's not what it appears to be. So go beyond that, and thank heavens that it's not just what it's supposed to, what it appears to be. Because otherwise it would be so boring. It would be so, if it wasn't a mystery, and that's what, unfortunately, I think also technology takes away. Like technology, if we're going to be able to live forever one day, it takes about the mystery of death is a mystery. Is so compelling. It is so riveting. It's like, regardless of just concepts, like every concept, like I'm saying, just sitting in let's say in presence, without concepts, without even, like I'm saying, just try and have no association to nouns, names, identities, whatever it is, and sit in that, like as a meditation, fine, and you can, gets profound, but that's something else. But I'm just saying, the contemplation of death, that you're not going to exist, your story, your narrative goes to ash. So what happens? What transpires from there? What carries on? Everything you touch, everybody will eventually will be dust of the earth. That is the craziest concept. And again, if you're not well equipped with the possibility of an idea that, hold on, maybe there's a continuation here, maybe it's not for nothing. Well, then I think, first there's the atheist point of view. And I just think again how miserable that is. How there is so little at stake there with the atheist point of view. It's like you don't have to ask much questions as well. It's just the way it unfolds. Right? It's just chance. It's just mathematical chance. It's just how it appears to be. There is no mystery here, right? Children die young, get bone cancer. There's no reason to it. Earthquakes, volcanoes. It's just nature. It's just the way that it unfolds, right? And I think it's such a cop out. I find for myself, it's such a cop out because you're not putting anything on the line. It's not saying there's no mystery involved anymore, to a certain degree. I find a fundamental mystery anyways. So I don't know, just that thing about death, like for myself, dreams at night. I just think it's amazing that we can even keep dreams at night under such a good rap. That's what Jed Mckenna says. There's such a thing called DMT, but there's in the society that we live in, there's no takers. There's no takers of it. But I'm saying, which is like dreams, altered states of consciousness. Well, let's just stick with dreams. You can have the most profound dream. Then you've got to wake up in the morning, shower, put on your suit, your tie, have a bite to eat, piece of toast, scrambled egg, kiss your kids goodbye and go off to the office and pretend that you didn't have the most outrageous kind of experience, that you just weren't a few moments ago traveling another dimension.
Yes.
Right? Dimension of the imagination, dimension of the unconscious. It's your dreams. It's very hard for us to interpret our dreams. But it's rich there. It's symbolic. It's another kind of world. Like I said, you could be you could have just been, I mean, in the physical realm, you could have just been nominated for presidency. You just won the president, you became president of the United States. But when you sleep at night, right, you're back at high school with your friends, and you're flying on your desk in a classroom. So hold on, what is going on here? And so again, the mystery shows how fluid as well this reality is. I mean, with near-death experience people, they speak about how they felt that when they died, that world felt so much more real than this one, that this one actually felt a bit cartoonish, is the word that they use. It doesn't feel as real as the next life. So it is some kind of dream, and it is some kind of absolute mystery. I mean, even the fact, I know, sorry, I'm just going to carry it on here, but even the fact that I sound like my brother, and I look like my brother. I mean, you can see that it's not my twin, but you can see even my father. So then, then who am I? And sometimes I think about like in heaven, or I'm saying in the afterlife, do we speak in English or Portuguese or Spanish? Like, what's the language there, right? I mean, like, what's the form that you take? What is, like, how do we understand this? And if we can again, walk with the mystery and the possibility of the unknown in our own lives, it can firstly keep us very humble. Yes. That's one of the most important things, because you say, you freak, man, you don't know what's going on. You can't pin the tail on the donkey here. You don't even know where to start. It's like you have no idea. It's like, so you feel in yourself humble. You're open. You're vulnerable, not too vulnerable, and that's what also, it's why it's designed, is that if you need to know your own value, because if you are swimming in the ocean of mystery, and it is so mysterious that you can get so lost in it, which is almost like you can have a breakdown or something like that, which is also fine. You can have a split with reality, right? Or which, because it's so overwhelming, right, that you need to know, have a base within yourself. Like I'm saying, when something comes into your life that is psychedelic, right? I'm saying an experience or traumatic, it rocks your world completely. It turns it inside out. What you thought you knew is out the window, and it's a whole new frontier, and that's frightening. It's a whole new ocean. It's a whole new shore. It's a whole new revelation. It's a whole new dimension. It's a whole new world. And this happens throughout our lives, just in the process of growth and maturation, maturing, like, from childhood to teenager to young adult to adult, and then, so on and so forth, the seasons of our lives. And we go through these, and every so often, our world gets shaken up. Either it's external events, or it's internal, or it's got to do with the sun or the solar or the lunar, different types of energies that we're working with the planets, with the stars, with certain alignments, with your own life plan, with your own astrological charts, whatever it be, that you'll go through these phases where, all bets are off. You don't know, you have a sort of a, how would I say, where you lose touch with your identity, and you have an identity crisis, because now you're aging now. Now you're having children, or you're having grandchildren, so your whole role has changed. This whole dynamic. So, but besides that, even when, I don't know, like with a hardcore conspiracy theory again, which is not nice. I mean, when you find out that potentially at 9/11, just at 9/11 was an inside job, or whatever, maybe it wasn't, maybe it isn't. Like, that will rock your world. That will be like, oh my word, what are you saying here? Yeah. What are you getting at here? That there's a section of humanity, of people, that are hidden away in the closet or something like that. Unseen forces at hand here that are manipulating the consciousness of reality, or not what it seems for it to be. That already in itself, I mean, brings you to your knees. I mean, yes. You know what I'm saying? It brings you to your knees. It obliterates your reality as you know it. And then if you feel that your reality is so obliterated, and you obliterated in yourself, then that's a problem, I feel. Because if you don't have your own ground to stand on, your own established, ground in a so-called metaphysical ground, or your own divinity or your own truth, that's why truth is so important. Because when it all turns from a non-fiction into a fiction, what you thought was a fiction, which turned into which was which goes from a non-fiction, what you thought was a non-fiction, into a fiction, then you say, well, then I'm a lie, which is true to a certain degree. I'm inauthentic, which is true. But at the same time, if you know the path that you've been walking on, and you know your goodness, because it's really, goodness is truth, right? When you know your heartfulness, where you know your sensitivity, your kindness, you know your efforts, right? You know your passion, whatever it is, you know that's what you can say. This is what's true. The whole, the world, and that's, and so you can retreat into the self, into the spirit, into the soul, and the efforts of of how you've manifested a truthful, world about you, how you've how you've made it. Because if you haven't set up that shop in a way, or set up that home for yourself, or that inner temple, then you've got nowhere to return to when the crisis hits, when the shit hits the fan. And what I really feel at the moment is that the world is going through such a crisis point where it's so overwhelming, where there's such an influx of information, where it's all going from so-called non-fiction to fiction, right? Where the level of stresses and anxiety are going through the roof. Okay, where technology has infiltrated and taken over our lives completely. Most people feel overwhelmed and lost and confused, dazed and confused, uncertain, right? And so they're hanging on to the super ego or the crowd, to the television, to tell them what I must do, what I must think today, what I must wear today, what I must eat today, what I must drink today, what I must say today, what are we talking about politically, what are we talking about socially, what are we, so they're all taking their script, right? But at the same time, there's a sneaking suspicion from most of the people that even the script that they've bought is a fiction, right? And so now they're getting, even more afraid. Sorry, Daniel, you still there?
Yes.
Oh, sorry, I know. So for themselves, it's like, well, where did they retreat to? And for myself, it's not so easy for me to retreat within. Sometimes I'm rocked to the core, where it's like it takes me a good couple of days just to find a little bit of, balance or alignment or self-resonance or self-recognition, or that feeling that I know within myself that, this feels to be who I am. A sensation, a feeling, and a little bit of a knowing, okay, a little bit, and that's the comforting, that energy that I have. But it takes me some time. Sometimes I can be really, really rocked, and throughout the day I can be minor rocked, and then I feel like if I step out of a shopping center and I didn't realize how much time I spent in the energy that overwhelmed me, and I'm getting disorientated, and then I've got to come back to my room and meditate and lie down and say, okay, no, now I know this feeling. This is familiar. This is what I know, right? Then that's my grounding. So that's, spend a little bit of time in nature, take off my shoes, stand on the beach sand, whatever it is, take a bath, those things to align myself with it. So I don't, I'm not completely absorbed in the hecticness, in the chaos, I would say, of the world. So, but what I'm saying for others, like when I'm talking to others, and I realize that they have no place to retreat to, I realize that there's nothing much I can say. I can just listen and be there for them, because they haven't actually know the feeling of self, of truth, of beauty in themselves. They haven't established any ground within themselves or any knowing within themselves. So it's like that they how do you say it? They're in the ocean without a paddle, or in the river without a paddle, and they're just flowing at the current, and there's nothing they can do. Yeah. So it's like, so for myself, I've spoken about it before in one of my videos. It's like, why on earth do you want to awaken people? Why is it that you want to wake them up? Or, let's just say, for lack of a better word, or show them the illusion. Because you understand what you're dealing with on your hands. I mean, you're already having to deal with so much with your own awakening process. You want to take on the responsibility of somebody else. I say it's not pleasant. It's not pleasant. Like if you go to a sleeping lion and you wake it up, you think, you're going to get a nice reception or whatever it's going to be. No, that lion, especially if, it's going to feel threatened. It's going to feel, it's going to be ranting and raving, roaring. It's going to be restless. It's going to be all over the show. And so how are you going to handle that? And that's what you did. You woke up, the sleeping monster in a sense, or whatever. But that's something else. So to not having to focus on yourself, and then the others that you meet along the way that are also awakened to a certain degree or whatever, or in the know. and that's what I was saying, just coming back and ending off to what I was saying, is that when such individuals like ourselves connect, right, it's just much more reconfirmation, like, oh, this is who I am as Aaron, this is who you are as Daniel, because I see you not necessarily as Daniel, but per se, but I see you, the spirit and the endeavors that you've encountered in your own life, your interests, your curiosities, whatever it might be, your potentials, your beauty, your truth, your love, your sacrifices, and I see all of that, and I can complement that and mirror that back to you, and you mirror it to me, and so we actually realize, hold on, we're more real than we often think of ourselves to be, and so that grows the inner temple in a way, that grows the inner establishment, that gives us more strength and more confidence and more conviction, more courage and more comfort at the same time, in a world that is so upside down and topsy-turvy, and it's losing itself completely. I'm just waiting for the next card to be dealt out, where I don't know what's to come necessarily, who does know, but I do think that there's going to be some kind of leadership take the forefront of the world and say, enough's enough, this is the way it's going to be, and they're going to, it's going to be a universal sort of governance in a way, something or other. I mean, you can get as far out as saying it could be extraterrestrial, can be some kind of religious figure, can be some kind of AI, who knows, but there needs to be some kind of point of full control, so that the world feels this comfort in this sort of messiah figure, whoever it's going to be, to say, look, I know we lost at shore here, we up creek without a paddle, we don't know, we help us here, and yes. And I think that's to come. I think it's to come. Anyways.
Yes. I think to summarize what you just said, walking with the mystery is my favorite.
Yes.
That's definitely what it is. There's a quote by Jed Mckenna, and the quote is, the question is why. It's very simple. The question is why. The answer is why not. I don't know.
Sure.
It's just,
sure.
I don't think you could come up with any why answer that could be summarized better than why not. Like, there is, to me, there's nothing that you could tell me that I'd say, oh, that's it. Like, you know what I mean? Like, in terms of existence, like, oh, well, it's no matter what you tell me, like, it's you're a combination of hydrogen, oxygen, and whatever else, or whatever other molecules comprise us. But I don't know. Like, all I'm trying to say is that basically, the why is the unanswerable. It's unanswerable. It's just the why is ever so mysterious. So walking with the mystery is definitely something that I like. Yeah.
If you subscribe to, yes.
Yeah. All right, Aaron. Thanks for this interview. It was great to talk to you. I've been following you for a while, and it was great to hear you speak and prompt you to rant. I love.
Sorry, I can't. Yeah. I hijacked the talk there.
No, that's what I wanted to happen. That was all. That was me. That was me. Like a marionette, No, I'm joking.
Thank you. No, I appreciate the space. Like, the truth is that if I get an opportunity to take to go with it, I go with it. I don't hold much back. That's it. And I really appreciate that. I mean, you're giving me that space. It's one thing me doing my talks on my own, but it's not. It's another thing sitting down with like a soulful individual like yourself, and being able to share that energy and that space. It definitely enhances it and brings out so much more of what is a lot of the time feeling so suppressed within me, and I can't necessarily get it out because I don't necessarily have the opportunity to dialogue with another. So thank you, Daniel. It's really been amazing, and I mean, I hope we can connect in the future as well. I mean, I'd like to hear more about you. I mean, as well.
Yeah, that's right. Maybe next time. Every performer needs its audience, and every audience needs its performer. So. Yeah. All right, Aaron. Nice chatting to you. I'll send you the link to this clip and let me know if there's anything you want to change or whatever, and then we'll go from there and I'll upload it. Yeah.
No problem.